What if I told you the anxieties that plague you today have haunted humans for thousands of years? Even great minds like Marcus Aurelius faced the same storms. Let's uncover timeless strategies to conquer your fears. Almost nothing we worry about in our daily lives is truly new. Human beings have faced these same anxieties, stresses, and fears for as long as we've existed. Imagine that. Millennia of people wrestling with the same inner storms. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. This great Stoic emperor endured plagues, historic floods, and ongoing wars raging in distant corners of his vast empire. Seneca lived under ruthless political tyranny, as did Socrates before him. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, lost everything in a shipwreck, left bankrupt and destitute, and yet he had to rebuild his entire life from the ground up. Throughout human history, people have wrestled with disruptive technologies, fretted over their children's well-being, worried about their own health, and stressed over whether they'd be promoted or lose their jobs. These concerns, the very fabric of the human condition, are timeless, relentless, and deeply familiar. This is precisely why the Stoics devoted so much thought to anxiety and stress, to the mastery of emotions, and to the crucial practice of refusing to be ruled by them. I'm no exception. Like many of you, I carry my own share of anxiety and stress. No philosophy, no matter how wise, will magically erase these feelings. But the Stoics offer us powerful tools, strategies that can help us feel less overwhelmed, less controlled by our fears, and less miserable over the uncertainty of what comes next. That's what I want to dive into today. Stoic strategies to help you conquer your anxiety. Seneca wisely reminds us that no amount of philosophy can strip away our natural feelings or instincts. I still get nervous before nearly every talk I give. I still feel anxiety. I still have nerves. One little ritual that helps me cope is carrying this Stoic coin, a small, tactile reminder that I can touch and spin when I feel overwhelmed. It has a hole in the middle, and just running my finger through it brings me calm. Stamped on the front is a quote from Epictetus. Is this in my control? Or is this not in my control? Is this up to me, or not up to me? This question cuts to the heart of Stoic philosophy. I think about what Marcus Aurelius said. Anxiety is not caused by external things. It is created within ourselves. It lives inside us, which means we have the power to release it. We don't have to surrender to it. This coin, this little practice, is a gentle nudge. It reminds me that Stoicism isn't some magical cure that wipes away our flaws, problems, urges, or temptations. No, it's a framework, a toolbox for working through them, a guide for how to face life's challenges with wisdom. That's how I see anxiety now. And that's why I always carry this worry coin. There's a fascinating tension in Stoicism. Seneca tells us we should engage in premeditatio malorum, the practice of imagining all the things that could possibly go wrong. Because the unexpected blow hits hardest when you're blindly marching through life expecting everything to be perfect, never even considering that things could go sideways. When that happens, you're caught off guard, rattled, and hurt far worse than if you had prepared yourself mentally. Yet Seneca also warns us. He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. He knew how easy it is to spiral, to catastrophize, to create unnecessary suffering by obsessing over what might happen. So when we practice premeditatio malorum, it's not about torturing ourselves with endless worst-case scenarios. It's not a downward spiral of, if this happens, I'll do this. If that happens, I'll do that. No, it's a constructive mindset. We say, if this happens, Here's how I will respond. If that happens, here's my plan. The goal is to prepare ourselves, not to scare or paralyze us, but to empower us. By thinking through these hypotheticals in a focused way, you realize you have agency. You have power to face whatever comes your way. But here's the catch. It's not just that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. As Seneca says, we actually add suffering. We borrow from the future pain and start living in it right now. We dwell on that dread again and again, almost like we want to feel it longer, as if sitting in anxiety somehow prepares us better. This is where Stoicism teaches us to step back, to acknowledge our fears, yes, but not to be consumed by them. We must remember that the way we repeatedly replay worries in our minds, living over and over in those scenarios, is actually piling suffering on top of something that may never even happen. Our imagination can be a double-edged sword, capable of either empowering us or trapping us in endless anxiety. Take Zeno, the founder of Stoicism. When he began studying philosophy, his teacher, Cato, assigned him a series of unusual tasks. One task was to carry a pot of lentils through the bustling Athenian agora. Zeno had no idea why he was doing this strange chore. But Cato saw something deeper. Zeno was anxious, overly concerned about what others thought of him. So as Zeno walked through the crowded marketplace, Cato suddenly sneaked up behind him and struck the pot with his staff, spilling lentils all over the ground, and all over Zeno. Mortified and embarrassed, Zeno froze. But Cato simply said, "Courage, my little Phoenician, it's just a bit of soup." This was an ancient form of what we now call exposure therapy, deliberately confronting your fears to realize they aren't as terrifying as they seem. Cato wanted to show Zeno that his anxiety was largely in his head. Most people didn't even notice, and those who did weren't judging harshly. The embarrassment, though uncomfortable, wasn't the end of the world. Zeno hadn't died, he wasn't truly harmed. Cato's lesson was clear. The things we dread often lose their power once we face them head-on. Stoicism is full of this kind of tough love, challenging our impressions, opinions, and the catastrophic scenarios we create in our minds. The common thread running through all those imagined fears? It's us. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reflects on how he escapes anxiety, not by avoiding it, but by recognizing it as a perception within himself. He says, "No, I didn't avoid it, I discarded it, it was within me." This is exactly what Cato tried to teach Zeno. The power to choose whether to be mortified or not lies within us. I'm no stranger to anxiety myself. I manage my finances well and earn a decent living. But I have a costly habit, one that drains my energy, steals my joy, and holds me back. It's not gambling, nor any typical vice. It's anxiety. And frankly, nothing in my life has cost me more than that invisible burden. The worst part? It offers no real reward, only fleeting relief when the bad thing I feared doesn't happen. Anxiety is a sneaky, expensive habit. How many precious moments have slipped away because you were trapped in worry? How many experiences did you miss out on? How much strain did anxiety place on your relationships, your work, your peace of mind? Instead of living in the present, we often dwell in hypothetical futures, inventing crises that may never come. This, at its core, is anxiety. Seneca reminds us that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, and the suffering itself demands our attention. To keep myself grounded, I carry a small token, a coin engraved with a quote from Epictetus. It reminds me to ask, is this in my control or not? Whenever I'm overwhelmed, I pause to question whether my feelings, worries, Or the problem itself really depend on me? Is it within my power to change the outcome? Will stressing over it help me get to the airport on time? Will it ensure that the package arrives? Often, the answer is no, and realizing that can release a heavy burden. Epictetus's wisdom is simple but profound. Focus only on what is up to you. Seneca echoes this, warning that he who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. It's a call to avoid needless pain. On both sides of my coin is the image of the Ouroboros, the snake swallowing its own tail, a powerful symbol of how we endlessly torment ourselves, feeding on our own worries and fears. It's a costly cycle, but one we have the strength to break. It's a journey I'm still on, working every day to get better at it. I'm far from perfect, but with each new sunrise, I aim to improve, and I hope you do too. If you want to explore more of this wisdom, you can check out the Stoic journey, a treasure trove of Stoic insight. Anxiety, sometimes, it's reasonable. Maybe you're worried about something real, something that could cause trouble if it happens again. The Stoics teach us a simple but powerful idea. Some things are within our control, and some are not. Their message? Focus your energy on what you can control. Remind yourself this. Feeling anxious, obsessing over the problem, biting your nails, or endlessly discussing it with others, none of that changes the outcome. It neither makes the situation more likely nor less. So why waste precious energy there? Instead, channel that energy constructively. Ask yourself, what can I do right now? How can I influence this situation? How can I prepare myself to endure? To bounce back if it happens? Put yourself to work. Focus on what makes a difference. But be careful not to confuse tormenting your mind with productive effort. Mental exhaustion from emotional torture is not progress. People often misunderstand Stoicism as cold or emotionless. In reality, Stoics strive to be less ruled by their emotions, not to eliminate them altogether. They seek freedom from overwhelming anxiety by understanding and working through their feelings. One way I personally process my emotions is through therapy. That's why today's video is proudly sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online platform connecting you with licensed therapists in a way that's accessible and convenient. Therapy can be tough, you have to be vulnerable, and sometimes logistical barriers like travel or traffic get in the way. BetterHelp removes those barriers. You simply fill out a quick questionnaire, and within days, you're matched with a therapist who suits your needs. If it doesn't feel like the right fit, you can switch immediately until you find someone you truly connect with. If you're struggling and think therapy could help, check the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/stoic to get 10% off your first month. Now, a Stoic is not someone who bottles up or suppresses their emotions. That's a common misconception. The Stoics were deeply engaged with their emotions. They journaled their thoughts, just like Marcus Aurelius did. Socrates wandered the streets asking penetrating questions. Seneca wrote heartfelt letters to his friend Lucilius. These thinkers weren't denying their feelings, they were exploring them. Stoicism teaches us to confront emotions head-on. Observe them. Meditate on them. Understand their roots. And process them fully. Ignoring or conquering emotions without reflection is like putting a charge on a credit card. You don't pay the price today, but eventually, the debt comes due, with interest that makes it even harder to bear. So don't shut down your emotions. Work through them. Face them. Understand them. Don't let them control you. But don't pretend they don't exist either. By ignoring them, you're only setting yourself up for a bigger struggle later, one where you may feel powerless. In the words of Thime TB, The Stoics don't suppress emotions, they domesticate them. That process requires courage to face your fears, to explore your inner landscape, and to make peace with yourself. You might be robbed right now, robbed of your time, peace, and joy, and you might not even realize it. The worst part? You're robbing yourself. Think back to those times you left early because nerves or stress took hold. Remember events where you were present physically but absent mentally, consumed by worries about what might go wrong. Consider the dread that filled your days these past months, convincing yourself that bad news was certain to arrive. How much life did you miss while trapped in those thoughts? That's the cost of unexamined anxiety, and it's one we can learn to pay less of. So, how did all that worry and dread actually play out in your life? What became of all that fear? You missed precious moments with your family. Instead, you found yourself stuck, waiting anxiously at the airport gate. You missed that much-needed vacation, the joyful outing with friends. And here's the painful truth. Although you were physically present, your mind wasn't. You were trapped somewhere else, caught in the tangled web of your own imagining. You had built an entire story in your head, a scenario far worse than what actually unfolded. And this, right here, is exactly why Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." What he was really describing wasn't some abstract idea, he was talking about our anxiety. Our ceaseless worries that consume us. Take a moment to reflect. How much has anxiety stolen from you? Those relentless racing thoughts, the persistent doubts, the crushing dread, how much joy did they rob from your life? How often did your worry actually serve you? How many times was it proven right? Here's the ironic twist. Anxiety is sometimes right, but far more often, it misses the mark completely. And yet, the real problem with Seneca's insight, that we suffer more in our minds than in reality, is this. We are suffering. The pain, the fear, the stress are very real. We experience it in our bodies and minds every day. Seneca also warned, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." We pile on suffering before anything even happens, carrying the weight of imagined troubles that may never come to pass. But it's hard, so hard, to remember this when you're caught in the vice grip of anxiety. Spinning down that endless spiral of, what if this? What if that? What if everything goes wrong? This is exactly the kind of challenge the Stoics grappled with. Epictetus posed a simple but profound question. Is this within my control? Because so much of what we fret over, the emotions, the fears, the endless thinking, doesn't actually change the outcome. It doesn't move the needle one bit. So, for all that anxiety, for all that dread about something you don't want to happen, Marcus Aurelius asks us, how does it stop you? Does this other person, this unfair situation, or this feared outcome stop you from acting with courage, justice, wisdom, and discipline? Does it keep you from living according to the 4 cardinal virtues? The answer, when you look closely, is no, it doesn't. Sure, there are many things we don't want to happen, things that would bring pain or inconvenience. But none of them can stop you from doing your main job in life, to act virtuously, to do what's truly important. In fact, these challenges often open doors for us, opportunities to practice courage, justice, discipline, and wisdom. Now, consider this. How you use your creative energy matters immensely. The time you spend imagining terrible outcomes, inventing conversations in your head, worrying about what others think, this is a misuse of your creativity. Your imagination is a powerful tool. Are you using it to build yourself up, or tearing yourself down? You're using your imagination to trap yourself in misery. You paint endless scenes of disaster, replaying terrifying scenarios over and over again. Notice something. You rarely, if ever, picture things going well or people liking you. Instead, you're directing your creative power toward fueling anxiety, self-doubt, and self-consciousness, and that's simply not how it should be used. The Stoics remind us that the mind is an incredibly powerful tool. The question is, how will you choose to wield it? Will you use it to torture yourself, spiraling into fear and frustration? Or will you harness it to propel yourself forward, to solve problems, to create meaningful change? Marcus Aurelius, in his intimate writings, exhorts himself, and all of us, to fight to be the person philosophy wants you to be. That line resonates deeply with me. It's a call to rise above the noise, to embody resilience, strength, virtue, kindness, and a genuine care for the greater good. Stoicism invites you to be someone who is steady and unshaken, someone committed to continuous self-improvement. This ideal has been the guiding light of Stoic thought for centuries. It's the essence behind the videos we create, the emails we send out daily. Stoicism invites you to be someone who is steady and unshaken, someone committed to continuous self-improvement. This ideal has been the guiding light of Stoic thought for centuries. It's the essence behind the videos we create, the emails we send out daily. Stoicism invites you to be someone who is steady and unshaken, someone committed to continuous self-improvement. This ideal has been the guiding light of Stoic thought for centuries. It's the essence behind the videos we create, the emails we send out daily. The Stoic journey. But here's the challenge. Are you fighting for yourself? Are you actively striving to inch closer to that perfect ideal today? Are you showing up for the person you want to become? The Stoics won't force you to change. They can only lay out the path, the formula. It's up to you to walk it, to step up, embrace the challenge, and become who you're meant to be. This is the question I want you to wrestle with. One constant throughout history is how much of life remains beyond our control. Even 2,000 years ago, the Stoics grappled with this truth. Marcus Aurelius, arguably the most powerful man of his era, understood that despite his status, most things were simply not in his hands. When things don't go the way we hope or plan, what emerges? Anxiety, fear, uncertainty. For thousands of years, the Stoics have wrestled with the same struggles we face today: nervousness, worry, dread. Marcus reflects in Meditations on days when he thought he had escaped anxiety, only to realize, no, I didn't escape it, I discarded it, because it was within me. He came to understand that he was the common factor in all his moments of anxiety, just like you and me. Anxiety lives inside us. That's why it's so important to acknowledge it, to work with it, so it doesn't take control or sabotage our lives. I remind myself daily, this moment is enough. I don't need to be anywhere else, do anything else, or become anything other than who I am right here, right now, in this exact instant. That's it. That's all. The Stoics teach that true poverty isn't just about lacking money, it's about desperately needing, wishing, fearing that you are anything other than what you are in this very moment. Learning to be present, to fully lock into the here and now, that's the key to everything. To me, this is what stillness means, and it's the foundation of real happiness. Send out one Stoic-themed email every morning. Completely free, no spam, and you can unsubscribe anytime. You can sign up at the Stoic journey and join a global community of hundreds of thousands of fellow Stoics. We'd be honored to have you with us.